De los latinos en América. Estamos transmitiendo desde hermosa 1470 M96.9 FM. Les habla Lilia Galindo, me acompaña el doctor Goins del Distrito Escolar de Lancaster. Él es el responsable de ver que sus hijos aprendan en la escuela. I told them that you're responsible of the children learn at school.
That's pretty much it.
Very good, very good. Okay, Dr. Goins, we can start now. Give me good news.
So I'm really coming on today to kind of brag about our kids real quick. We're getting ready to just pump up our 8th grade promotions because our kids are getting ready to move on into high school at this particular point. So I wanted to kind of let people know that we're going to be getting kids ready for promotion. We're going to be doing this. We're doing something new under the new superintendent, Dr. Marietti. We contracted out with the AV Fairgrounds and the AV Fair Board to be able to use the AV Fairgrounds for all of our graduations over a longer period of time, but to get them done within a day. Period. So we're looking forward to get all of our 8th grade promotions done at the AV Fairgrounds. We're having all of our kids promote together. So it's going to be kind of nice for them to be able to see from school to school to school to school in the middle schools how if things work between each other and how they're all matriculating up together and seeing them move on into high school.
Bueno, el doctor Goes nos dice que están preparándose ahorita para promover a los niños del 8º grado que ya van a ir a high school. Dice, con el nuevo superintendente se logró un acuerdo con los terrenos de la feria para que podamos presentar ahí a todos los estudiantes que se gradúan del octavo grado para pasar a high school, y se pretende que estén ahí todos reunidos para darse cuenta de lo que se está haciendo. Like how many students are going to graduate in your school?
I would say probably close to 3,000 kids. We're probably gonna be promoting.
3,000, wow.
Yeah, we're gonna be 8th grade is a. Hold on, let me take that back. It's about 3,000 middle schools in total. About maybe 6. We're probably looking at about maybe 1,200 kids that we're gonna graduate.
Se van a graduar aproximadamente.
Promote.
O sea, se van a ir al siguiente nivel de high school aproximadamente 1,200 estudiantes, dice, y se ha contratado con los terrenos de la feria para que esto se haga por varios años. Así es que es una excelente noticia. You can continue now instead of me.
So I just wanted to really it's getting to that point where it's time to start celebrating that end of the year. Our kids are in the middle of testing right now. They're doing school testing or California State testing right now. So wanted to make sure parents knew that, and we know our parents know that, but over the next couple of weeks, it's extremely important that our students are getting to school so that we can make sure that they're there to be able to get what they need before they get to the assessment, but then on top of that, so that they're showing up for the assessment as well.
Bueno, entonces el doctor Gómez les quiere recordar que los estudiantes ahorita van a ir a una serie de exámenes para que puedan ser promovidos al siguiente grado de high school, y les quiero recordar para que los estudiantes se pongan conscientes que es tiempo de prepararse. Is there a requirement that you pass the test to go to high school?
Not particularly, but what ends up happening specifically with the high school, and I haven't been an 8th grade teacher in that and put on promotions and stuff like that. What does happen is that once they get into they take their assessments for CASP, they call it the California. It's a Smarter Balanced Assessment, just to make it easy. That assessment gets up to the high school level so that the high school teachers know where they are going to put the students. So It does put the kids in a particular place to be able to provide for what their classes are going to look like.
Bueno, le preguntaba yo si este examen es necesario que se pase para poder pasar al nivel de preparatoria. Dice, no necesariamente, pero sí este examen permite evaluar cuál es la situación del estudiante para que los maestros entonces lo puedan ayudar a nivel de high school. In high school, they already have to pass the subjects. Is that true?
Right, that's true.
So it's so important that they learn from middle school and all the grades, that it's important to have good grades.
So, and the thing is that it all builds on one to the next, which I think is really important for families to know, is that that's why that elementary grade levels and what we do in Lancaster and at the kindergarten all the way through the 8th grade is so important, because that might not be something that they're going to be specifically held responsible for moving on into high school, but what it is that it level. Put it like this: if I've told you 4 or 5 times within your life that that 2 plus 2 equals 4, then you're probably going to remember that 2 plus 2 equals 4. So they're getting that information all the way up from kindergarten, all the way through their system, all the way through the system. It's way more complex, but that's why the attendance piece is so important. Getting kids to school is important. Getting kids to school on time, like you preach, is so important. That's why it's so important to make sure that we're really engaging kids on a constant, making sure that academic piece at the elementary level is solid, because once they get into high school, they're going to hear it like U.S. history. They'll go right back through the revolution a little bit, not as deeply, but they'll go back through it, and eventually they'll be assessed on it. But if they have the background knowledge to be able to come back and say, yeah, well, I remember this from my 8th grade history teacher, then they're more likely to be successful.
Bueno, le preguntaba yo de los grados, porque a diferencia de la escuela primaria y secundaria, no se requiere que pasen las materias, pero de todos modos, dice, por eso es que es tan importantísimo que los estudiantes estén todos los días en la escuela y que estén a tiempo, porque aunque todavía no se les, se les evalúa, pero no se quedan en el mismo grado si no aprendieron suficiente. Estamos seguros que a través de la repetición que aprenden durante los años que están con nosotros, hasta el 8º, se les estamos repitiendo la información, de tal manera que cuando llegan al high school, pues les suena familiar porque ya oyeron esa información con alguno de sus maestros. Por eso es tan importantísimo que los niños vayan a la escuela a tiempo todos los días. Do you know, doctor, I have heard stories of people who came from the same family background, and they realized very early that the only way to leave the poverty in which they were living, it was to study. I interviewed one doctor that he told me, do you know, his parents were working, picking fruit and that kind of things, and he was already in the medicine school, and he went to help parents to pick up the things.
Absolutely.
And then he was telling me, do you know, since very young, I realized if I do if I go to school and I study very hard, I'm going to have a very different kind of life. And he did it. He is a surgery, ¿cómo se dice cirujano? Cirujano, somebody who cut your stomach and whatever.
Wow.
And es a cirujano, a surgery.
Yeah, that's...
So everybody can do that. No, everybody can do that.
Well, no, everybody has an opportunity, and that's the one cool thing about. I mean, in a lot of countries, education is something that is not given. It's not given out freely. It's something that you have to kind of you have to be born in the right family, be at the right class, that kind of thing. In America, the cool thing is that it's compensatory. Everybody has to do it, and everybody goes through K-12 education to be able to, or has the solid opportunity to go through K-12 education to the point where it's law that you're coming to school up until I think you're 15 or 16, or until you're 16 or 17 years old. So it's given all of that, it's you have to go to school. You don't have a choice. That's your job as a child for the first part of your life. That's not normal that's not the same in other places. It's not like that in other places. So it's one of those benefits that you do get about being in this particular system.
Bueno, nos está hablando, yo le estaba comentando de algunas personas que he conocido que vienen de familias hispanas y que se dan cuenta que la única manera de salir de la pobreza en la que han vivido es ir a la escuela, estudiar muy duro y entonces hacer una carrera para tener una calidad de vida diferente para ellos y sus hijos. Y por eso el doctor Gómez dice, por eso es tan importante que los niños estén todos los días en la escuela, porque eso les va a ayudar a aprender. Dice, a diferencia de otros países, en este país es mandatorio que los niños vayan desde el kindergarten hasta aproximadamente, dice, se les da educación hasta el 12º grado, pero es mandatorio que vayan a la escuela. Y es su único trabajo de los niños y lo que les va a ayudar a que salgan adelante y tengan una calidad de vida diferente. For you, how was when you were a young kid? Were you a good student, or what happened? Tell us a little bit.
Man, so I had to be what I was. I had really good, and I think this comes back to the next conversation that we're going to talk about in a little bit. I had 2 parents that found that education was important. They knew that education was going to be what was going to get me where I needed to go. So they pushed me to make sure that that was important. I also had, to be honest with you, I had a grandmother who's kind of famous, who's kind of well known in the Palmdale community. When I was growing up when I was coming up through my system, and make my grandmother angry, I was going to get in a lot of trouble. So I didn't mess with her. And she was she was one of those ladies that that did a lot of really cool things for me, and like kind of made it so it's like if I got a B plus on a report card, I'd get in some serious trouble. Now that's not to say that just being like, I was smart for sure, like I could do school and I had a lot of common sense, but I had enough common sense to not get caught in the stuff that I did, the bad stuff that I did too. So it's like those pieces are, it's the behavioral side is I think a more important piece to it. It is a more important piece. And right now, I think in education, our main focus right now is really building up that social emotional side, the collaborative side for kids. I think when we're doing that, we're doing a real service to not just the kid or the family, but to the community as a whole.
Bueno, les preguntaba yo que nos platicara un poco acerca de su infancia, cómo había sido su infancia. Dice, yo afortunadamente tuve un padre y una madre que sabían de la importancia de la educación para que yo pudiera tener una calidad de vida mejor. Así es que ellos me apoyaron mucho, pero además tenía yo una abuela que era muy reconocida aquí en la ciudad de Palmdale. Entonces ella también fue una gran influencia para que yo pudiera salir adelante. Dice, yo era una persona inteligente y bueno, con la presión ahí de su mamá, de su abuela, dice, traía a veces una calificación de B plus, o sea, un más que bien, y de todos modos, pues mi abuela me decía, así como me empujaba para que saliera mucho mejor. Dice, hice algunos errores como estudiante, pero se compensaron afortunadamente. Dice, por eso es tan importante darle apoyo social y emocional en la educación a todos nuestros niños. Y ojalá todos los padres nos estén escuchando y se den cuenta de la importancia de ir